welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight. Let's follow. Second plenary session of the first ordinary session of the Parliament took place today. And in our international scene, the occupied West Bank, the Palestinian presidency, announces a real massacre. Well, this our blood viewers. Welcome to our newsroom. Those were the major top highlights. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, on the occasion of the National Day of Yemen, wished success to the President of the Transitional Council of this country, His Excellency Rashad Al Alimi, as well as more peace, progress, and prosperity to the burly Yemeni people. These wishes of the head of state came in a congratulatory telegram in which he formed the hope of a permanent return of peace, stability, and national harmony in this burly country. Djibouti and Yemen share age-old ties woven by the thread of history, culture, and geographical proximity. Noted the head of state, we will not cease to provide our support to the sister nation of Yemen in the current difficult context characterizing this burly country, said the President of the Republic, who reiterated his best wishes to Mr. Rashad Al Alimi and the entire Yemeni people. In accordance with Article 22 of the Rules of Procedure, the National Assembly met this Monday on the occasion of its second public meeting of the first ordinary session for the 9th legislature. The parliamentary was chaired by His Excellency Dileita Mohammed Dileita, President of the National Assembly, with the participation of the Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, deputies and members of the government. The agenda introduced the following items. Number one, Bill number 1 on the approval of the financial accounts of the D1 of WAQFs of the year 2021. Bill number 2 on the approval of the financial accounts of the fiscal year 2020 of the National Office of Water and Sanitation of Djibouti, ONIAD. Bill number 3 on the approval of the financial accounts of the National Tourism Office of Djibouti, ONTD, fiscal year 2021. Bill number 4, instituting the function of internal audit in the public institution. Bill number 5, approving the financial accounts of the fiscal year 2018 of the Djibouti Agency for Social Development. Bill number 6, on the approval of the financial accounts of the fiscal year 2019 of the ADDS. Bill number 7, on the approval of the financial accounts of the fiscal year 2020 of ADDS. Bill number 8, to approve the financial accounts of the fiscal year 2021 of the ADDS. Bill number 10, on the approval of the financial accounts of the National Social Security Fund, CNSS, for fiscal year 2020. At the opening of this session, the President of the National Assembly welcomed the deputies, ministers participating in the preliminary session, specifying beforehand the rules and framework of the procedure relating to the text submitted to the national representation. During the meeting, the parliamentarians asked a variety of questions covering several areas of members for the government related to the financial accounts of public institutions and about the internal audit of public institutions, where one of the deputies asked a question related to the financial law of the National Water and Wastewater Authority that the produced water is not fully billed, as there is a quantity of water that has not been billed. As for the second question, it was related to the failure of private sector employees to pay the shares of the cemeteries. The concerned ministers answered the deputies' questions, where every minister answered a deputy's question regarding the various questions that covered several areas of the members of the government that were related to the financial accounts of public institutions, about the internal audit of public institutions, where even they responded to the deputy that asked a question related to the financial law of the National Water and Wastewater Authority, that the produced water is not fully billed, as there is a quantity of water that has not been filled. All those questions were then answered by the ministers. In his speech then, the Prime Minister Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, following the conclusion of the secondary plenary session of the first regular session in the 9th legislative body, indicated that the National Social Security Fund has made tremendous efforts in the years 2019 and 2020. In cooperation with the Ministry of Health in the field of combating COVID-19, the fund was the most important institution that fought to confront the spread of this disease in the country. Finally, the President of the National Assembly invited the audience to observe 1 minute of silence to recite the Fatiha for the soul of the late Abdurrahman Sheikh Muhammad and Hashi Abdullah Warah, Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un, at the end of the duty of which came in closing of the constant and fruitful exchange. And after the variable vote on the above-mentioned text, the President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mr. Delita, Muhammad Delita, proceeded to the adjournment of the plenary session. Still on the national context, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon, Minister of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs in charge of human rights, received this morning in his office a delegation of Senegalese magistrates who came to participate in the religious ritual following the death of the President of the Supreme Court of Djibouti. On behalf of the body of the Judiciary of the Republic of Senegal, they presented their condolence to the Minister of Justice and their counterparts who have lost the most illustrious of their colleagues. The Minister also received a delegation from the Regional Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights as part of a working visit in view of the participation of Djibouti's periodic report to the Human Rights Committee scheduled for November this year. Another achievement for the Ismail Omar Guelleh Foundation for Housing, with the ceremony of handing over the keys of the beneficiaries of 30 social housing units in Holhol, ceremony organized by the foundation with the participation of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity. Thus, the director of the foundation of Ismail Omar Guelleh for the right to housing, the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, her colleagues of Housing and Muslim Affairs went this morning to Holhol, sub-prefecture of the region of Ali Sibeh. A trip, therefore, in the framework of the actions of the foundation that have just concretized once again this project financed by the Kuwaiti Fund to help the neediest inhabitants of Holhol. The Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity intervened in this achievement in the selection of beneficiaries based on the eligibility criteria and the selection of mechanisms from the local register and social registers also. The selected families met this criteria, which include being in a situation of extreme poverty, not having housing, having several children support, including situations of disability. It is within the reference to modalities the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity has conducted this work, which was entrusted to it by the Ismail Omar Guelleh Foundation. After Djibouti City, all the regions of the interior have benefited from the actions of foundations, actions that passed for some time, the chief towns for care of populations living outside these areas and who are really in need. The Ministry of Youth and Culture kicked off the work of the Commission of Youth and Sports of the Indian Ocean, CJSOI. Djibouti hosts from 22 to 24 May the meeting of experts of the Indian Ocean Youth and Sports Commission. The CJSOI is an intergovernmental commission created in 1988 with the objective of promoting friendship and brotherhood between the youth of member countries and fostering the development of regional cooperation through the promotion of sports and youth. The meeting of the experts of the Commission, which will last 3 days, will focus on exchange and discussions on the organization and programming of the 13th edition to be held in 2025 in Seychelles. The provisional budget for 2020-2024 was also on the menu of discussion of the meeting. The meeting of experts has seen the participation of many delegations such as the Union of Comoros, from Madagascar, from Mayotte, from Mauritius, from the Union of Seychelles, and Djibouti. The Secretary General of the Indian Ocean Youth and Sports Commission thanked Mrs. Hibo Muminasu, Minister of Youth and Culture, for her considerable efforts in organizing this meeting. Let's listen to Her Excellency now.
Et pour la République de Djibouti, un honneur et un privilège Me and the Republic of Djibouti have an honor to enter into this task and respect your commitment to host the expert and ministerial meeting of the Youth and Sports Committee of Indian Ocean in the presence of personalities and other high officials from all federal agencies. Not the first times, actually, as Medina said, that Djibouti is hosting the Youth Committee and the Indian Maritime Sport. We have history of the 2016 Games which hosted Djibouti with happiness and allowed them to meet member countries Madagascar, Réunion, Mauritius, Comoro, Seychelles, and Mayotte in their motherland. Also, the Republic of Djibouti is also welcome to participate in the last games in Mauritius, which the young people of Djibouti have won several gold medals. Besides the exhibitionists, they got the best opportunity to explore, exchange, share, and make friends with brothers and sisters from the top member countries. I take this opportunity to repeat my thanks to the Mauritian officials and especially Jean-Christophe Stéphane Toussaint, the Minister of Youth, Sport and Entertainment. Besides the warm welcome and giving that the Djibouti group here we come again in Djibouti. Congratulations to all of us for a good beginning to prepare for the connections of the Secretariat of the Conference and organizers of the Minister of Youth and Culture all the last days so that the work of the conference happens as best. In fact, the Republic of Djibouti has taken all necessary measures to improve the success of the organizations in its work in 2023 and to ensure that your stay will be a very happy one for the Republic of Djibouti and as well as the Commission countries as first. The objectives are to develop more places of meeting and questions among our youth to weld even more bond of friendship and together between our countries. Therefore, the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, who is the hero of the aim of peace and stability of the regions, has put the youth in front of his national political priority to build united youth, strong business, and unity.
The CDC of Grawes locality and Dekh is officially reopened after complete installation of solar panels on Saturday, May 20, 2023. With her colleague, the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali, and in the presence of the authorities of the region of Khil, including the prefect, Mr. Adan Darar Musa, and accompanied by close collaborators, the Ministry of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibu Mu'min Assowe, moved to the locality, which is located about 30 kilometers from the capital of the region of the Unity. The delegation, warmly welcomed by a population of young and old, proceeded to the reopening of the CDC, completely renovated, re-equipped, and electrified. From the outset, the various components of the community of the locality are declared delighted to find their flagship platform again operational and electrified with solar energy. The Ministry's department has thus implemented the strategy of revitalizing the CDCs of the localities of the regions so that they take part in the numerous activities of social, cultural inclusion of proximity in favor of the young people. The policy of promoting intergenerational heritage and the transmission of Republican and civic values will also be implemented. As part of the preparation for the Global Fund of GC7 funding request, the Ministry of Health organized a retreat in Arta from May 17 to 2023 in order to consolidate the funding request for the communicable diseases such as the HIV, AIDS, and malaria that will be submitted on May 30, 2023. Indeed, during each funding cycle, the Global Fund allocates donor funds to eligible countries to complement the government's contribution in the fight against communicable diseases, tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, malaria, and such. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Bounita Turab, accompanied by the President of the CCMI, Mr. Ahmed Saad, the Director of Community Health Programs, Mrs. Munira Ali, the UNDP, and the WHO, went to Arta on Thursday to ensure the smooth progress of the work, which consists of several components, among others, the care and support, the supply of drugs, reagents, and consumables necessary for the fight against those such sickness. And in his speech, the Secretary General did not fail to encourage the different teams by specifying that this procedure should guarantee integration of programs to strengthen the impact of investments in the targeted portfolios, in addition to improving the coordination of the fight against HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria. The central headquarters of the National Agency for the Promotion of Persons with Disabilities, located in Haramus, hosted yesterday morning a signing ceremony of a work plan between the AMPH and the United Nations Fund for the Improvement of the Statue of Children, UNICEF. Thus, the protocol document initiated by the Director General of the AMPH, Duali Said Mahmoud, and the Deputy Representative of UNICEF, is an important link in the implementation of concerted programs for the protection of the rights of children with disabilities. The objective is to promote the condition and situation to Djibourian children living with disabilities and thus support the actions of AMPH. This memorandum of understanding will also serve to present the main lines of partnership between the AMPH and UNICEF, especially in the areas of health education of children with special needs. In addition to the Director General of the AMPH, the Deputy Representative of UNICEF also took part in the ceremony of senior executive of both institutions. During his inaugural speech at the session, the Deputy Representative of UNICEF stressed the importance of this work plan in improving the conditions of Djibourian children living with disabilities. Let's listen now to the General Director of the AMPH.
As you know, UNICEF is the United Nations Fund in charge of promoting the situation of children in the world. This is why we are working with this organization in order to give special attention to the situations of the Djiboutian children living with disabilities. Thus, the objective of the signing of this agreement is to combat the obstacles and discrimination related to disability throughout the country. This stigma must be eliminated. We are for the inclusion of the Djiboutian children living with disability in the programs of the authorities. It is for us a common goal to show goodwill to improve the quality of life of children with special needs. Thus, through this action plan, we will anticipate the specific needs of our children in different areas, especially in education and health. We therefore invite our partners to include the issue of disability in future programs.
The projects carried out by LTT over the last 4 years are the result of the constant modernization of the school. In the presence of the prefect Hassan Dabale and more responsibles of the technical high school, Tajurra is pleased to integrate a computer room, a room of creativity, and a water fountain. These are achievements corresponding to a component of responding to specific needs and aspirations of our institution. The establishment of a new computer room is born of ambitions to open up, democratize across to ICT and the use of computers. A snippet of history of the city of Tajurra, in the sense that we have in doing so, wanted to reproduce a replica of the legendary Well Tagorile, which gives its name to the city. Thanks to all the teachers and students of the LTT who are the main artisans of the installation mentioned above. Two medals for Djibouti, one gold and one silver. It is a great success for the young athletes Anyanle and Habon, who have distinguished themselves respectively on 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters, and who are able to carry high the cause of the country at the Arab Championship under 23 in Tunis. The Secretary of State in charge of sports, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, was delighted with the performance of these talented and upcoming athletes. It is a real inspiration for the Djiboutian youth and proof that the investment in sports pays off. The medal is the ultimate reward for the effort of the perseverance of all those involved in the competition. It represents the surpassing of oneself, the team spirit, and the national pride. This is why each medal obtained is a symbol of honor and recognition for the entire sports community of the country. Still on sports, the Republican Guard Football Club Academy team performed exceptionally well during their participation in the 2023 World Youth Championship, and Paulmen Brittany distinguished themselves among the best. After a stratospheric performance, the team was honored by receiving a well-deserved honor trophy yesterday at the closing ceremony of the tournament. The young players of the Republican Guard Football Club Academy demonstrated their talent and determination throughout the tournament. Their commitment and cohesion made them a formidable force on the field, and they impressed the spectators as well as the other participating teams. Thanks to their fluid play, their sharp technique, and their fighting spirit, the Republican Guard Football Club Academy team stood out and was among the best competitors in this prestigious tournament organized once a year. A 1 week ceasefire is expected to take effect Monday night between the army and parliamentarians who are fighting for power in Sudan and continue for the time being their violent clashes. The American and Saudi militaries announced on Sunday that they had obtained, after 2 weeks of negotiations in Saudi Arabia, a 1 week truce starting Monday evening. Both sides announced in a statement that they would respect the truce, which was welcomed by the UN, the African Union, and the East African Bloc, IGAD. But in more than 5 weeks of war, a dozen ceasefires has been promised and immediately were violated. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the Palestinian presidency denounces a real massacre in the occupied West Bank. More details with Mohammed Aden.
The presidency denounces a real massacre in the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian presidency denounced Monday a real massacre and a major war crimes after three Palestinians were martyred in the new raid by the Israeli occupation army in Nablus in the northern occupied West Bank. Denouncing a real massacre, the spokesman of the Palestinian presidency, Nabil Abu Rudaina, called the repeated operations of the occupation forces in Nablus a major war crime and a collective punishment that must be stopped immediately. The spokesman called on the U.S. administration to intervene immediately to stop the madness of the occupier. Earlier, in a statement, the Palestinian Minister of Health identified the three Palestinians killed by the occupation army in the Palestinian refugee camp of Balata in Nablus. Since the beginning of the year, at least 115 Palestinians have been martyred in attacks by the Israeli occupation, according to the official Palestinian sources.
Algeria hosts an international conference on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. Mohammed Aden again.
Hosted an international conference on the occasions of the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. Algeria hosted this Monday at the Abdel Latif Rahal International Conference Center, an international conference in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. This conference will see the participation of several Palestinian personalities and representatives of different Palestinian factions, in addition to national and international organizations. This event includes lectures and interventions of the suffering of the Palestinian people since the violations and Judaizations of their land and the aggression against their property and symbols of their identity. The conference, which also provides for cultural activities by dedicating a pavilion to the Palestinian cause at the National Museums of the Mujahid, aims to welcome the closing of Arab ranks for the triumph of the Palestinian causes. The historic decisions of the 31st Arab Summit held in early November 2023 in Algiers have consecrated the Palestinian cause as a central cause for the Algerian people.
Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.